Tan Guru Nanak, Tan Guru Nanak, Tan Guru Nanak, Tan Guru Nanak, Tan Guru Nanak. Sangat Ji, thank you once again for joining the Sangat of the Divine Light Sunday Discourse Vichars session. We're extremely lucky to be in this Sangat today. And like it was mentioned by our brother Zakaria, we don't enter the Sangat through our own will, but we enter the Sangat through the divine grace. Every single one of us who are in this Sangat, listening to the discourse, meditating on the divine name, you have all been specifically chosen by the divine to be in this environment. There could have been many other places you could have been at this moment, but the divine has chosen you to be in this Sangat to meditate on their name. Gurbani says, Virna Paga Satasanga na labba. Without great good fortune, one cannot enter the Sadh Sangat. So we are extremely lucky to be in this Sangat today, Sangat Ji. Before I begin the discourse, let's attune our minds to that Shabad, to that divine mantra, which is going to grant that peace, that bliss that we are all searching for in life. In life, we are searching on the outside with our eyes for things that will give us bliss, things that will give us peace. But the very thing we are looking for is right within us, and it can be accessed through this divine Shabad mantra. The giver of this bliss, however, Sangat Ji, is the divine themselves. When they feel like blessing us with this gift of Naam, this inner peace, we will receive it. Without their blessings, this cannot be achieved. So before we start today's discourse, Sangat Ji, let's take a minute to reflect internally and pray to the divine that for the rest of this session and beyond, we are blessed with that bliss and inner peace. So let's take that moment now. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So Sangat Ji, today's discourse will be a continuation of the Japji Sahib series that we have been discussing over the past few weeks, the few months. And we'll be discussing Pauri number 27, also known as the Sodar Pauris. So a quick recap. The Japji Sahib is Gurbani in the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji that was revealed to us by the first Sikh Guru, Guru Nanak Dev Ji. On their journeys, on their travels, they met with a group of sadhus who are saints. And those saints quickly learned Guru Nanak Dev Ji was a very, very enlightened being, a blessed being. And they took this moment to ask Guru Nanak Dev Ji a bunch of questions about spirituality, about the world, and Guru Nanak Dev Ji gave their responses to the Siddhs. And these questions and answers have been documented and have been placed within the Japji Sahib. So Pauri 27. Before we get into the recitation of this Pauri, this Sodar Pauri is by far the longest Pauri in the Japji Sahib. It also appears 3 times within the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, with small changes to the wording. The first time it appears is within the Japji Sahib. The second time it appears is part of the Rera Sahib, which is the evening prayer that the Sikhs recite. And the third time it appears on Ang 347. Ang meaning page. But out of respect to Guru Granth Sahib Ji, we call it Ang, which translates to the limb. So this Sodar Pauri appears 3 times. And within this body, we learn about singing the praises of the divine. And who sings the praises of the divine? So there are 2 insights within this body, one from a divine and spiritual plane, and one from a worldly plane. There are also several concepts that are explored within this body. And to discuss this body in depth, it would perhaps take 4 or 5 discourses. But to keep everything within this one discourse, we will briefly touch on these concepts that are explored in this body. So one concept is about singing the praises of the divine. And the other concept is about hukam, that we've repeatedly heard throughout the Japji Sahib. So Sangat Ji, before we jump into this course, let's listen to the full recitation of Body number 27. Satnam Sri Vaheguru Ji. So dar keha, so kar keha, jit beh sarv samale. ਵਾਜੇ ਨਾਦ ਅਨੇਕ ਸੰਖਾ ਕੇਤੇ ਵਾਵਣ ਹਾਰੇ ਕੇਤੇ ਰਾਗ ਪਰੀਸੋ ਕਹੀਨ ਕੇਤੇ ਗਾਵਣ ਹਾਰੇ ਗਾਵਹਿ ਤੁਹਨਉ ਪਾਉਣ ਪਾਣੀ ਬਹਿ ਸੰਤਰ ਗਾਵੈ ਰਾਜਾ ਧਰਮ ਦੁਆਰੇ ਗਾਵਹਿ ਚਿਤ ਗੁਪਤ ਲਿਖ ਜਾਣ ਹੈ ਲਿਖ ਲਿਖ ਧਰਮ ਵਿਚਾਰੇ ਗਾਵਹਿ ਈਸਰ ਬਰਮਾ ਦੇਵੀ ਸੋਹਨ ਸਦਾ ਸਵਾਰੇ ਗਾਵਹਿ ਇੰਦ ਇੰਦਾਸਣ ਬੈਠੇ ਦੇਵਤਿਆ ਦਰ ਨਾਲੇ ਗਾਵਹਿ ਸਿੱਧ ਸਮਾਧੀ ਅੰਦਰ ਗਾਵਨ ਸਾਧ ਵਿਚਾਰੇ ਗਾਵਨ ਜਤੀ ਸਤੀ ਸੰਤੋਖੀ ਗਾਵਹਿ ਵੀਰ ਕਰਾਰੇ ਗਾਵਨ ਪੰਡਤ ਪੜਨ ਰਖੀਸਰ ਜੋਗ ਜੋਗ ਵੇਦਾ ਨਾਲੇ ਗਾਵਹਿ ਮੋਹਣੀਆ ਮਨ ਮੋਹਨ ਸੁਰਗਾ ਮਾਛ ਪਿਆਲੇ ਗਾਵਨ ਰਤਨ ਉਪਾਏ ਤੇਰੇ 8 ਤੀਰਥ ਨਾਲੇ ਗਾਵਹਿ ਜੋਧ ਮਹਾਬਲ ਸੂਰਾ ਗਾਵਹਿ ਖਾਣੀ ਚਾਰੇ ਗਾਵਹਿ ਖੰਡ ਮੰਡਲ ਵਰਭੰਡਾ ਕਰ ਕਰ ਰੱਖੇ ਧਾਰੇ ਸਈ ਤੁਧਨੋ ਗਾਵਹਿ ਜੋ ਤੁਧ ਭਾਵਨ ਰਤੇ ਤੇਰੇ ਭਗਤ ਰਸਾਲੇ ਹੋਰ ਕੀਤੇ ਗਾਵਨ ਸੇ ਮੈਂ ਚਿਤ ਨਾ ਆਵਨ ਨਾਨਕ ਕਿਆ ਵਿਚਾਰੇ ਸੋਈ ਸੋਈ ਸਦਾ ਸੱਚ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸਾਚਾ ਸਾਚੀ ਨਾਈ ਹੈ ਪੀ ਹੋਸੀ ਜਾਏ ਨ ਜਾਸੀ ਰਚਨਾ ਜਿਨ ਰਚਾਈ ਰੰਗੇ ਰੰਗੇ ਭਾਤੀ ਕਰ ਕਰ ਜਿਨ ਸੀ ਮਾਇਆ ਜਿਨ ਉਪਾਈ ਕਰ ਕਰ ਵੇਖੈ ਕੀਤਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਜਿਵ ਤਿਸ ਦੀ ਵਡਿਆਈ ਜੋ ਤਿਸ ਭਾਵੈ ਸੋਈ ਕਰਸੀ ਹੁਕਮ ਨਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਜਾਈ ਸੋ ਪਾਤ ਸਾਹੋ ਸਹਾ ਪਾਤ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨਾਨਕ ਰਹਿਣ ਰਜਾਈ ਜੋ ਤਿਸ ਭਾਵੈ ਸੋਈ ਕਰਸੀ ਹੁਕਮ ਨਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਜਾਈ ਸੋ ਪਾਤ ਸਾਹੋ ਸਹਾ ਪਾਤ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਨਾਨਕ ਰਹਿਣ ਰਜਾਈ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਸੋ ਦਰ ਕੇਹਾ ਸੋ ਘਰ ਕੇਹਾ ਜਿਤ ਬਹਿ ਸਰਬ ਸਮਾਲੇ ਸੋ ਦਰ ਕੇਹਾ. So these are the questions are asked by the Siddhs. So dar keha. Where is that gate? Dar is gate in Punjabi. So dar keha. Where is that gate? So kar keha. Where is that home? Jit beh sarb samale. In which the divine sits and takes care of all of the universe. So dar tera. So dar keha. So kar keha. Jit beh sarb samale. ਵਾਜੇ ਨਾਦ ਅਨੇਕ ਅਸੰਖਾ ਕੇਤੇ ਵਾਵਣ ਹਾਰੇ. Vaje Nad Anek. Within that place where the divine resides, there are Nad. Nad meaning the sound current that vibrates throughout the universe. Vaje Nad Anek Asankha. There are countless of these vibrations, this music, and there are countless musicians in that place that are producing these divine vibrations, divine music. Kete rag parisyo kahiyana, kete gavana hare, and there are so many rags and so many musicians that sing in these divine frequencies within that place where the divine resides. So, Sangaji, in the intro, I mentioned that there were two insights, one from the divine spiritual plane and one from the worldly plane. So these first few lines are referring to that divine spiritual plane. So Sangaji, Nad. Nad is mentioned in that second line, Vaje Nad Aneka Sankha. And why is Nad so important? Why is this vibration so important? Well, Sangaji, everything that's in existence right now, the whole of the universe, comes from this one sound. Oang. In Gurbani, it says, Oang Gurmukha Kiyo Akara. From this sound, Oang, the whole universe was created. Ik Oankar. From this one divine Oankar. From this one sound, from this one divine, the whole universe was created. And everything within this universe vibrates with this sound, Oang. We just need the ears to listen to it. And this is also, Sangaji, informing us about the power of music, the power of vibration. Music, Sangaji, can either produce poison within the mind and the body, or it can produce amrit, divine bliss. If we listen to divine music, listen to the Gurbani, the Kirtan, the praises, the hymns, this sound will convert our mind and convert this mind and produce that bliss, this amrit within our mind and our soul. However, if we use our ears to listen to music that contains a lot of swearing, negativity, that in turn will turn our mind into poison. There was a study conducted recently which considered how quickly people learn a piece of text. So one group was given a text where they simply recite it. Another group was given a text where they had to sing it and create a song. The group that recited the passage with a song, with a tune, retained that passage a lot quicker than the group that wasn't singing it. So this is the impact that music has on our minds. But the choice is ours. Everything God gives to us is within a balance. They give us the negative and the positive. It's our choice in which way we want to take this. For example, God has given and produced grapes. We can either eat those grapes and enjoy the sweetness of the fruit, or we can produce alcohol from these grapes, which will poison our body. God has also given power. For example, politicians, they can use this power for good to help the people, or they can use this for their own benefit and make the situations worse for the people. So, this is a choice that God has given us as well. Also, our voice, something as simple as our voice. We can use this mouth, we can use our voice to slander people, gossip about people, say negative things about people, or we can use this voice to sing the praises of the divine and say sweet words. So, Sangatji, the choice is ours. And it's the same with music. The music can poison the mind, or it can produce amrit within the mind. And the power of music can be demonstrated like this. If I suddenly started speaking Punjabi now in this discourse, those of you who do not understand Punjabi, after a while of listening, will simply zone out. Some of you may leave the session. However, if I start singing these words, these Punjabi words, in a form of music, a lot of you guys will start to enjoy it because music is a universal language, Sangat Ji, and this is why the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji is divided in not chapters but in forms of music. Because it doesn't matter if you understand the Gurbani or not, once you listen to the Kirtan, that effect will always, always, always be on the mind. So this is the power of music, Sangat Ji, and this has been emphasized in this 27th Pauri, Vajje Naad Aneka Sankha Kete Vavan Hare, places that importance on that divine music. And a story from our own life, Sangat Ji, is in COVID time, to about 2021, I went through a phase of depression. The intensity of the most intense phase of this depression lasted approximately 3 months, but the effects of it lasted almost a year. I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to speak to a saint within this time. After I spoke to the saint about my condition, about my mental health, the saint simply said, listen to as much kirtan as possible. And since that moment, I spent a lot, especially when the depression was at its peak, I spent a lot of time listening to Kirtan throughout the days, 1, 2, 3, 4 hours a day. And over time, without me even actively listening to the Kirtan and the words and the meanings, my mental health, my mental state started to change over time. And this is because the power of Kirtan, the power of divine music, will always have its effect on the mind, whether you like it or not. So Sangat Ji, this is the power of Naad, Vajje Naad Anek Sankha Kete Vavan Hare, the divine music. Gav hai tuhno paun pani bੈ santar, Gava Raja Dharm Dware. So Gave tuhno paun pani bੈ santar, Gave Raja Dharm Dware. Even the likes of Dharmraj are singing the praises of the divine at your door. Dharmraj, Sangat Ji, is the being who has been given the divine duty to take our accounts after we pass away. So when we leave this earth, all our accounts are presented in front of Dharmraj, who then gives us our punishments and then gives us our rewards also. So even Dharmraj, who has been given this divine duty, sings the praises of the divine. Gavai chit gopta likh jaan hai, likh likh dharm vichare. Even the angels Chitar and Gopat sing the praises of the divine. Chitar Gopat Sangat Ji, are the two angels that are said to rest on our shoulders, Chitar on one and Gupt on the other. Or one writes all our good deeds, the other one all our bad deeds. And when our time comes to leave this body, these accounts that have been written by Chitar and Gupt are presented in front of Dharmaraj. So even Chitar and Gupt, the angels that reside on our shoulder, the conscious and subconscious, that take account of our conscious and subconscious records, they sing the praises of the divine. Gav Isar Barma Devi Sohana Sada Savare. Shiva, Brahma, and other goddesses sing the name of the divine, sing the praises of the divine. Gav Ind Idasan Bathe Devtya Dar Nale. Indra also sings the praises of the divine. So Sangatji, this praise of the divine can be heard anywhere. We just have to sit quietly and meditate on that divine mantra and contemplate on that mantra. And over time, we can start to listen to these divine frequencies. Even if we sit simply in nature, everything around us sings those praises. If we just simply sit in nature and observe the sounds around us, we automatically start going within us, within ourselves, and reflecting. And this is because in Gurbani it says, Jeta, Kita, Teta, Now. Wherever you look is the name of the divine. Simply sitting in nature, listening to the sounds of the nature helps you reflect within. Gav hai siddh samadhi andar, gavan sad vichare. So Sangatji, the first few lines are talking about the spiritual plane. Now we're talking about the worldly plane. Gav hai siddh samadhi andar, gavan sad vichare. The Siddhs who sit in samadhi, samadhi, a deep form of meditation, within themselves as they are in that samadhi, they sing the praises and contemplate on the divine. Gavana jati sati santokhi, gav hai veer karare. Even the jati and satis, the celibates, and the fearless warriors, veer karare, sing the praises of the divine. Gavana pandita padan rakhisar, Jog Joga Veda Nadle. Those pundits, those religious scholars who recite the Vedas, contemplate and sing the praises of the divine. Gavaha Mohaniya Man Mohan Surga Mach Payale Gavan Ratan Upaye Tere Atsat Tirath Nale. The celestial jewels created by you, and the 68 holy places of pilgrimages sing the divine praises. Gavah Jod Mahabalasura, Gavah Khani Chare. The brave, the mighty warriors sing the praises of the divine. These spiritual heroes sing the praises of the divine. Gavah Khand Mandala Varpanda, Kar Kar Rakhe Tare. The planets, the solar system and galaxies created and arranged by your hand sing the praises of the divine. Then Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, Sei Tudno Gavah Jo Tud Pavan Ratte Tere Bhagat Rasale. So far, Sangatji, Guru Nanak Dev Ji has been telling us who sings the praises of the divine and to what depth they sing the praises of the divine. But now they talk about those who sing the praises of the divine who have been blessed. They only sing the praises due to the blessings of the divine. Sei Tudno Gave, those who sing Jo Tud Pavan, only sing the praises because you let them praise you. Kirpa, Guru Prasad. Ratte tere bhagtar sale, Sei tudno gav hai jo tud pavan, Ratte tere bhagt rasale. Only those that you have blessed sing your praises and are imbued in that amrit, in that nectar. Hor kete gavan se मैं चित ना आवन नानक क्या विचारे. Hor kete gavan se मैं चित ना आवन. So many others sing, Sangat Ji, of the divine praises, but some simply do not have that thought to praise the divine. But also, Guru Nanak Dev Ji says there are so many that sing your praises, yet I cannot think of all of those who sing Nanak kya vichare. How can I think? How can I consider all of those people that sing the praises of the divine? Soi soi sada sach sahib, sacha sachi nai. Soi soi sada sach sahib. That true Lord is true, forever true, and true is his name. Sacha sachi nai. So Sangat Ji, in an earlier discourse, I think in Pauri number 2 or 3, we spoke about what is truth. You get worldly truth, which is true for a limited amount of time. So, for example, my name is Mandeep. While I'm alive, my name is Mandeep. After this, or when I change my body, the soul does not have a name. So it's not a permanent thing. However, the complete truth, Sangat Ji, is one that is Ad Sach, Jugad Sach, Happy Sach, Nanak Sipi Sach. True from right at the beginning, true now, and will be true in the future. And that is only the name of the divine. So Sacha Sachi Nai, Happy Hosi Jai Najasi, Rachna Jin Rachai. That name, that perfect divine, who is true now and will be true once this world is destroyed. Rangi rangi pati kar kar, jinsi maya jin upai. Rangi rangi pati, that divine that created this colorful world and this colorful world of Maya. So Sangat Ji, if we just delve a little bit into Maya, people associate Maya to be just something that is material. Maya as in money or worldly possessions. But Maya actually, Sangat Ji, is spiritual too. You can get spiritual Maya. For example, you can have attachment to your own meditation in a bad way. So for example, there was a time in my life, Sangat Ji, where I would read the prayers, read Bart, and I would try reading as much as I could. But what I found was I was more interested in the numbers behind the Bart, how much I was doing, how much time I was spending, than actual true connection. And that became a form of Maya too. Because all I was doing, I was attached to the numbers. I was attached to doing so many minutes of meditation or so many minutes of Bart or prayer. That is a form of Maya. Maya is so subtle and so sly that it takes constant reflection and takes the blessings of the divine for us to get rid of it. So rangi rangi pati kar kar jinsi Maya jin upai. That real Maya is anything that keeps us within this cycle of birth and death. It doesn't just have to be something that's material. Kar kar vekha kita apana jevat sadi vadayai. Having created the creation, kar kar vekha kita apana. He watches over it himself. Jevat sadi vadayai, and that is his greatness. Jo tis pava soi karsi, hukam na karna jai. He does whatever he pleases. No order can be issued upon the divine. So pat saho sahapat sahib, nanak rahan rajai. He is the king of kings, the supreme lord and master of kings. Nanak Rahna Rajai. Nanak remains subject to his will. Sangaji comes back to the hukam, the order of the divine. Whatever happens in this life, Sangaji, happens due to the order, due to the hukam. And sometimes as humans, we can start to go against that hukam and try forcing things. But the more we force, the more we try going against the current, the more resistance we face. And another example for my life, Sangaji, is after I finished my degree, I spent a lot of time trying to look for a job. So I'd be applying day and night for jobs over and over again, trying to force an opportunity. And I was looking for almost 2.5 years for a job. And right at the end, I'd almost given up. I'd given up hope of getting a job that was within my degree. And all of a sudden, as soon as I let go of that resistance, as soon as I went with the flow and left everything in God's hands, two jobs landed on my footstep on the same day. I had two offers on the same day. So Sangaji is all about going with the flow of the hukam. We must make the effort. We must do our simran. We must do our seva. We must sing the kirtan. But at the end of the day, the divine blessing is only given to us if the divine likes it to be that way. So Sangaji, this brings me to the end of today's discourse. Forgive me for my many mistakes, and please continue to bless us all with this seva, with this sangat, with this simran. And if there's anything you can take from this, is the power of kirtan. If you are having a bad phase in life or whatever, listen to the kirtan, listen to the divine music, and let that divine gurbani, those divine frequencies work their magic. So Sangaji, hope you enjoyed the discourse. Forgive me for many mistakes. ਨਾਨਕ ਨਾਮ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਭਾਣੇ ਸਰਬੱਤ ਦਾ ਭਲਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ